Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. Yep, it's that time again, once more for another 3D project. And today I thought we would use something that is functional anywhere in the house. We've kind of been concentrating on boxes for gift giving and even some craft room storage ideas. But I had to replace or get more Kleenex tissues, and went to the store, and the designs just don't really go with my decor. So I remembered that about 4 or 5 months ago, I had made this tissue cover box, and so thought we would give that a try with some of our new DSP. Now, when I made this one, it actually isn't the right size. For some reason, and I believe the measurements on your tissue box holders, the square ones, are 4.5 square. And the couple of video tutorials that I looked at back 4 or 5 months ago actually had the sides a little bit shorter than the front. So while I can squeeze a box in there, it's a little loose in some places and a little tight in others. So I went in and researched that and did a little better calculations on things. And so today we are definitely going to have the correct cuts in order for it to fit smoothly over a square tissue box without being too tight or too loose. So I thought, I've been feeling very mellow yellow today, so I thought we would go ahead and work in yellow. I have a bathroom that's done in yellows and greens, so I thought our tea room DSP with the lovely roses and butterflies in that yellow, in the yellow hues, would go really, really well. And whereas this one, I actually just made this out of, this was our heavier DSP, so it was quite sturdy. But this one, because the tea room paper is more delicate, shall we say, a little lighter weight, I'm actually going to make it out of cardstock, and then we'll do layers with the DSP on top of it. And so let me just pull things out here. Now, the colors in the tea room DSP, I believe the yellow that's used here is actually crushed curry. And I did get out my crushed curry cardstock, but I thought it was a little bit dark to fit in with my color scheme. And Daffodil Delight seemed to work really well, and it still looks good with the DSP on it. So we're going to be using Daffodil Delight today. And then I am going to actually have each of the sides not only have one pattern, but I love the reverse side of it and thought we could go ahead and make the bottom part out of that, with the top part of the panel being that lovely floral design. And then to kind of blend the two together, we're going to use some of our beautiful shimmer ribbon. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Now let me just put all these aside, and I will tell you what the measurements are for our cardstock cuts first. So you'll need 2 pieces of 10-inch wide by 5-inch high cardstock. And we're going to score these and we'll attach them, and they will form the base of the box. Then you'll also need a piece that is 5 3/4 square for the top. All right, so you'll need those 3 pieces. When we get to actually layering on the DSP, I'll go over the measurements for that then. But let's go ahead and get started on scoring and putting together the tissue cover. You're going to take, whoops, it would help if I put this the right way, Linda. I want to make sure you can see that. So with your 10-inch running across the top, you're going to grab your stylus and you're going to score it at 4 3/4 inches right there, and also at 9 1/2 inches, which is right there. All right, so you'll do that for both pieces. So 4 3/4 and 9 1/2. While we've got the scoreboard out, let's go ahead and work on our lid. This one is really easy. You're going to score it a 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. And I'm going to show you a little trick I learned when we get ready to attach the sides to the top, because the way I originally did it was pretty darn tricky, and this ends up being a, whoops, jump the track, much simpler way to do it. Okay, so that's all of our scoring done. We'll take and move our scoreboard out of the way and get on to folding and burnishing. Now, if you like, you can go ahead and attach the DSP before you start gluing these 2 pieces together. And that, in fact, is exactly what I'm going to do. But I like to go ahead and fold and burnish first, because that gives me clearly demarcated lines for lining everything up. Okay, so for our DSP, I have 4 pieces that are 4 1/2 inches by, oh, you know what? I cut that down, didn't I? So they should be 2 3/4 inches tall by 4 1/2 inches wide. And remember, we're going to go ahead and put these right like this. So we'll do that. And then we'll attach it with some tear and tape, so that will actually become a continuous piece. And this will go all the way across. And then for my bottom accent border, this is 2 inches by 4 1/2 inches. And you can butt them right up against each other, because remember, we're going to have that ribbon there that will help with the transition. For this, I'm just going to go ahead and use my multi-purpose liquid glue. So let me just open it up. And I got to be careful with this since I'm using the coordinating side for the bottom. Have to make sure, and that's why I laid all of my 2 3/4 inch pieces out first, so that I didn't get them mixed up. Okay, so we'll just give them an equidistance. And now I'm going to go ahead and glue the bottom section on. And I am going to butt it right up against it, just like that. Try to get them even there. All right, so we'll do that for all 4 of the sides. The very first time I made this, instead of having 2 cardstock panels that were the 10 inches wide by 5 inches high, I actually used 4 pieces that, and I can't even remember what the measurement on them was now, but it was a whole lot of gluing together that I really didn't need to do. This is a much, much easier and quicker way, I think, to make this cover. All right, so just got a couple more here. Hi, Amy. Is it raining out in your neck of the woods yet? Looks like it's gonna rain here. They were supposed to come fill in our pool yesterday, and the guy showed up with the bobcat, but then came in and said he had just checked the weather report, and evidently they have to have several days of no rain in order for the dirt to settle correctly. And so we're going to have to wait to get the pool filled in until we've got at least a couple of days of dry weather in the forecast. So I'm kind of bummed. I was looking forward to posting some before and after pictures of our hole in the ground now and what it's going to look like all filled in. All right, last bit here. And you can see by putting your DSP on before you fold things up, it's also much easier to make sure it's lined up correctly all the way around. Wow, well, send this in our way. I'm ready for it. Although my tomato plants were very happy with the rain yesterday. Okay, so we've got that taken care of. Now let's talk about attaching all of this. I'm going to use my tear and tape. So let me just bring that in here. Oops, I think I just dropped my bow on the ground. Grab that so I don't step on it. And you're going to put tear and tape on these edges here, the 1/2-inch edges that we scored on each piece. That's where our tear and tape is going to go. And I like to put mine right up against the score line because we want it to have a good seal and no edges that look like they're coming loose. So there's one. And here's the other one. So it's pretty straightforward so far. Once I was able to figure out exactly what my measurement should be for the cardstock, the rest of it came together quickly. Okay. So burnish these down. Peel off. Should have brought my silicone mat in here, but I'll just try not to get it all over my wood grain mat here. And then it's simply a matter of just lining it up right up against that score line. Take your time doing this because you want to make sure your bottom is really important for making sure that it lines up. And this one should be fairly easy to do. Because we should just be able to fold that over like that. And there is the base of our tissue box. Okay, now let's work on the lid. This is where you get to see how I discovered this tip by another YouTuber on how to put the lid on without having to stick your tongue out and stand on your head and do all of those other things. First off, we do need to make some cuts here because we're going to be folding all these down. And so all 4 of our corners here, our little squares, need to come off. And then I do like to miter my edges. And you know, rather than cutting up and mitering and all of that, she suggested just cutting right across. And that does both. So it's cutting off that corner square and it's mitering the edges of my flat. I thought that was kind of a cool little tip, but that's not the big one. Okay, so we're going to do that. I'm also going to go ahead and glue down my DSP. Since it's nice and flat, it'll be easy to do. Now, you certainly don't have to use liquid glue. You can use your snail for this part, although I don't know. I think I would use something stronger than snail just because you're going to be pulling tissues out of it. So I might be worried that the snail could start coming up after you've used it. for more than 1 or 2 boxes. If you have any fast fuse left of all those refills that you probably bought during the sale last year, that would certainly be a good one as well. You can also use your tear and tape. Here's what you want to make sure though. You want to make sure that you have adhesive completely covering. So don't just do the corners and call it good, because obviously we have to have a hole where the tissues can come out. And to do that, we're going to use our layering ovals and the Big Shot to cut that out. By gluing the entire sheet down, I know that it's not going to come up. So let me just, I think I used the 3rd largest of the straight layering ovals. And I will try to bring my Big Shot in here without knocking everything over and keeping it in camera focus. So just lay that down there. And then, oops, make sure you've got the cutting side down. So put that where in the center. Needs to come up a little bit. Yep, that looks good to me. And this way, you're cutting through both the cardstock and the DSP at the same time. So there's no worries about the holes not lining up if you were to do them separately. And because I used my liquid glue, you'll see that the entire edge there is completely glued down. So there's nothing popping up, which is a good thing. Okay, that's all we need the Big Shot for. So let me get it out of the way here. And I'll show you this cool tip or trick that I learned from a YouTube video that I saw on this. And let me tell you, I looked at a ton of them, trying to make sure that I would give you guys the best directions. Pardon me if my head gets in the way. I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting up close to that score line when I'm putting down my tear and tape here. That will be important. All right. It's much easier to see from this side. So we got that. And if you cut yours a little bit long, don't worry about it. You can always fold it back on itself when you peel off the backing. Oops, I took off rather a bit of that. Here we go. Hello, Jean. Thank you for joining. All right. Almost done. This also takes up actually less tear and tape than the first way I learned how to do it, which was needing 4 pieces of cardstock for the base. So here you're only dealing with 2 seams. Okay. So we got that. I'm going to bring our box back in and let's do our folding and burnishing. And I'll show you the way I did it the first time that was really kind of difficult, as opposed to how we're going to do it today. So I'm not going to peel this off, but the way she had us do it the first time, and you know what? Dadgummit, I did it again. I'll have to show you the way I did it the first time, because the way that she did it yesterday was before she sealed up that final seam, she actually started attaching it that way, but we can do it this way. Just peel off one side at a time, or the first 2 times, you're just going to peel off one side. Got a little overhang there. You're going to line it up, decide which way you want to be your front. I think we'll do that as our front. So, and because this is a perfect square, you definitely can pick any of the sides. And then what I'm doing is, I hope you can see that, but I'm lining up, making sure, and take your time with this. It's can be a little tricky because right now I don't have anything in it, so the box is a bit wobbly, but you want to get your edges flush like that. Give them a good burnish, and then move on to the next side. I can get my tear and tape backing off here. Oh, that came off pretty good. And I always fold it back before I drop it in. That way it's not sticking to anything before I want it to stick. Get in there, you. Again, just using my fingers to feel where that top edge is, making sure that I have it, and then going in and burnishing. The burnishing is really important here because it does want to pop up. Okay, now for this, I'm actually going to peel off both sides because by the time I get this in, it's going to be really hard to pop that one in. So I'll go ahead and take off the backing for the remaining 2 sides. Like that. Fold both of my flaps completely in. And then I can bring my hand on the inside, and that will help to guide. I'm keeping this one flap completely turned back so that I can just work on one at a time. So I've got that one in. Now this one should line right up, so I can just let it go. That wasn't hard at all. I don't know why I had such difficulty with it the very first time I did it. And again, I'm just going in and giving it a good burnish. And there is the top done on our tissue lid cover. So all that's left to do is to put our our ribbon around. I am going to secure that with some tear and tape as well. And because I've got 2 different designs of DSP, this is going to make it really easy to do. Because I can just start, and I'm going to take it all the way around the box. So I'll just start there, making sure I'm lining everything up. And bring it all the way around. Support the underneath of the box with your fingers so that your tear and tape has something to grab onto. And I will bring this right up to the edge here. And actually, let me pull that back a little bit and bring it around. And cut it right there. Okay, that should be it for our tear and tape. I got that a little over. So now I'm only going to peel off one side at a time when I do this. Now, I do need to go back and figure out where my front was. So that's an awfully pretty part of the top. I think we'll make this our front. And I'm going to start it right about here because I'm going to be putting a bow on it, and that seam will get hidden by the bow. Well, I guess I should have gone the other way, shouldn't I? Should have gone this way, Linda. Just like that. And then peel off another side. It's just an easier way for me to handle the ribbon. You certainly can peel off as much as you like at a time. And there's the last of it. But remember, I started halfway through on the front, so I will be able to wrap it all the way around, making sure that it lines up. To right there. Come on, scissors. There we go. That didn't cut very well, did it? Get out my little snips here. This will be hidden by the bow, but I still want to not have a bunch of fuzzies that get in the way. Well, padiddle. These scissors don't want to cut either. All right. And I went ahead and tied a bow already, and we're going to put our bow right here. Now, on the other one, I did have a sentiment on the front, and you certainly can do that. Just cut out any type of a sentiment label and then stamp your sentiment on it. I decided for this, I didn't really want a sentiment. I just wanted the bow to be the decoration. So now let me see if I can get my tails a little better here. They don't need to be quite that long. There we go. And to attach this, just going to use glue dots. And I'll probably use one in the center and then one on either edge of my bow loop to make sure that it lays down, because it's trying to curve up a little bit. And this will help me control that. It also is really helpful in being able to have your tails go in the right direction. So we'll just put that down and let go. Put that there. I'm going to see how that tail's wanting to pop up, and put that there. And then you can fluff out your loops. And you certainly could do a double bow or even a triple fancy bow if you wanted. But there you have it. Now, I don't have a tissue box handy. I've got to go to the store and get some more. So I'm just going to stuff a tissue through here so that you can see what it will look like. Very quick, very easy to put together. Hi, Anne. So glad you joined us this afternoon. And I'm thinking ahead to Christmas time with that. Just got some of that lovely copper accent DSP. And I'm going to use that and make a Christmas tissue box for my guest bathroom for when folks come over. So the sky's the limit on this as far as what you can do. If you've got the heavier DSP and you just want to make it out of that without doing any layering, you certainly can do that, as you see by this one. But if you are using the thinner DSP, just make the actual base and lid out of cardstock and layer your DSP on top of it. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, thank you, Jean. I thought the colors went really well. To me, this DSP is coordinated absolutely perfectly to go with each other. It was another one where I had a hard time deciding between the front and the back of most of the designs. Okay, well, I will let you all get back to what I'm sure are busy weekends, and hope that you are enjoying yours. Stay tuned, and Tuesday night we will create another card, and I'm thinking we might start to kind of explore Christmas world. Kind of itching to use some of that copper accent paper, so we'll look forward to doing that on Tuesday. All right, thanks for joining. See y'all later. Bye-bye.